Now I have the pleasure to welcome you to the next episode of Meeting with Changemakers. This time we have the pleasure to listen to Jo from Rubymoon, sustainable swimwear from the United Kingdom. She's very into female entrepreneurship, ethical business, and circular fashion, if you want to say so. So listen to her passion, get inspired, and create impact. Yeah, hi and welcome everybody. Today I have Jo here from Rubymoon, zooming in from Brighton. Hi Jo, how are you doing?
Hi, good afternoon.
So the first question I actually have for you, what brought you into the field of sustainability, since Rubymoon stands for sustainable swimwear? Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what I took about it. So what brought you into sustainability?
Well, my professional field has always been swimwear and lingerie. So I used to work for some very corporate companies globally.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I returned to the UK to live, I was actually without a job because it was the eve of the recession of 2009. And there were, people just weren't hiring. So I decided to do something for myself and found out a lot about ethical and sustainability in fashion and how basically the industry is not sustainable in any shape or form or ethical in many cases. So I wanted to prove that it's possible to have a business that produces clothing that can have a positive impact instead. And I've been working now with my brand Rubymoon for 11 years. Just coming up to the 12th year now, actually on International Women's Day in March. So that's going to be a big celebration. And the main thing about what we do is that we only would ever use sustainable materials, and we have European manufacturing so that we can monitor exactly what's going on in our supply chain. And then we donate profits to women entrepreneurs in 14 different countries around the world so that they can start and build their own businesses, because women, where investment is made in women, that's where you start to see societal change for the better.
Wow, so I can already see there's lots of things going on. I will definitely refer to each one of them. So the first one you mentioned, no, because one question would be, what do you consider sustainable swimwear? So this is the first question, but I found out some things already. So the materials you use, the way you operate, no, and the way you create impact. So for you, what is sustainable swimwear?
Yeah, so we're sort of moving away from the word sustainable, because fashion as a concept can never really be sustainable. We've got a lot of things to change. We've got a system to change. And what I'm really passionate about is moving into circularity. So recycling all of the fabrics that we use, and making sure we keep all of the resources that we invest in clothing in that loop. That's really important. And we've started to do some innovation over the last 3 years to close that loop. And we've just had some really exciting news just before Christmas that we've managed to do that. So we're really, really happy that we're managing to reclaim some of the swimwear textiles that we use in our own production and put it back into the loop, because it's just such an important thing to be focusing on.
And how actually do you do that? I mean, do you have also like a customer program where they can bring back their old suits and get like some bonus for it and discount the new stuff? Something that you see, for example, at H&M, they have these concepts too. Obviously, it's a different kind of company, but the idea is that you reclaim resources.
Yes, we've always had
a
take back. We've always had a take back scheme from the beginning when we started. So, but we don't just take our own swimwear back. We take everyone's swimwear back, because we've been working on some technology that removes the elastomer or the stretch piece of the swimwear, and keeps the valuable polyamide or the nylon, which is really valuable, in the loop. The amide chain is the strongest textile chain there is, and we are working towards the circular goal of infinitely recycling polyamide, but also because it's the most durable, it means that we're investing less resources into a garment, and we hope to be able to guarantee any garment for at least 10 years.
Interesting. So I have two more questions that already to follow up on that. Talking through the business kind of lens, because now you say you can acquire lots of materials. So I assume you also in the numbers you show some positive effect, now that you have to buy less primary resources. Is that correct?
That's right. So we want to move away from drilling for virgin oil. That's the most important thing, and also preventing landfill of garments such as swimwear, which up until now haven't been recyclable. So it's got the double effect of those two impacts. But the main thing is that we can, by doing this, we have at least 40–50% less carbon needed to make a garment, and we're ensuring that it's more durable too. So it has an extended life cycle.
Very cool. And are you also engaged in research when it comes to developing maybe certain types of garments from other kinds of materials? Is that also something you're involved in?
Yes. So we have only been focusing on swim and activewear because that is our field. But now we're moving into separating other waste textile fractions as well. So, for example, polyester and cotton is the biggest textile fraction. But we're also looking at separating denim, where lycra has been included as well. So we can get rid of that lycra piece and make sure that the cotton in the denim goes back for recycling.
Very interesting. And you mentioned circular economy, but I also heard that you very much focus on the social aspect and the social impact that you create. You mentioned investing in social and women, specifically entrepreneurship. Maybe you can share a little bit more on that.
Yes, so we do that with a London-based charity called Lend With Care, lendwithcare.org, if anyone wants to have a look. We make loans to women predominantly, although you can, if you wish, also donate to men on the same website. What's really interesting about it is you can see the person that you're investing in, see what their business is, where they live, and their family situation, photos of them. So it gives you a bit of more of an emotional connection. And it's something called microfinance, so small loans to help someone start or build their own business. And we particularly focus on women because we know that the money will be invested in their children's education, housing, nutrition, all the important stuff. But the main reason is in terms of women's empowerment, because where women are seen to gain an income, they are also taken notice of then. And where women sometimes don't have a voice or are not seen in their communities, this is really life-changing.
Wow, I'm really impressed, all the work you're doing. And you mentioned earlier two words. No, you mentioned sustainable or ecological, and on the other hand, ethical, which not necessarily have to be the same, because you can be circular but be non-ethical. No, so for you, what does this term ethical business mean to you, and specifically in your case?
So we would always want to look for clothing that is made with the people are caught in the supply chain in mind. So that means paying a living wage, not the minimum wage. That means in safe conditions. That means with lots of different initiatives for workers' rights, including representative at board level, etc., where the workers are actually participating in the decision-making and protection of the workers. I think what happened when fast fashion came along, we failed to export all of those really important safeguards for health and safety, as well as human rights and workers' rights with that manufacturing, and it needs to come back. It doesn't cost that much more money to the end consumer, and we definitely need to make sure that's part of the new circular economy that we're building globally.
Very important what you mentioned, to build the global circular economy. And When we talk about global issues and circularity and sustainability, many times people bring up certifications and reportings. In your case, do you have certifications that you say this is something I have to have as a sustainable production of fashion, and something that you're still aiming for, maybe where you want to go? Or in general, how do you believe about them?
So when we started, there were no certifications whatsoever. The only certification that there was the fabric that we were using, which was Ecotex certified, which means no harmful dyes. But because it's got a transparent supply chain from Italy, we felt, well, we know that it's a legitimate, and we can trace that textile. We've seen lots of other certifications sort of come and go in that time. I'm still waiting for the best, the all-encompassing, fabulous certification that will take everything into consideration. As yet, we're a little bit still far away from that. And I'd be happy to do that certification. We have done various certifications to be on different kinds of consumer websites. But other than that, we're waiting for that, the one that is going to really be game changing, I suppose.
Let's see what's in the future for you. I mean, the landscape is changing, and although you're in the UK, the landscape is a bit different. I can't make the same references anymore when it comes to Europe, because the landscape in Europe is changing a lot. The reporting directives are coming. Small and medium enterprises will be obligated to report, to certify. And I assume this will spill over, but I think the landscape is still quite different. So is there anything coming along where they want to obligate companies to be certifying themselves, especially in textile and smaller companies?
Well, unfortunately, the fashion and textile industry has grown without regulation. That is the problem. That is why we're finding ourselves in such a tragic situation in 2023. The European Union is pushing really well and fast on circularity in textiles now, and we applaud that, because that's the only thing that will ever change anything is regulation and law. Great Britain is about 4 to 5 years behind, according to RAP, who's the main board, technical trade board looking into this. So we're 4 or 5 years behind, but we will have to implement the same strict regime, because we just cannot carry on like this. It's obscene. And whether things are burnt or buried at the end of their life, or they're exported to places like Africa to be buried or burnt, it's all the same in the end, and we just need to stop it now.
So let me just have one more question, which goes into the field of like how you mentor maybe the companies that you help with, or the entrepreneurs, because you talk about changing and changing also the way we operate. So do you translate that idea of circularity also to the new businesses that you fund?
Yes, so I only work with businesses that want to do that. So introduce circularity and do it the right way. It's very often, if you can implement those fundamental changes, if you like, into business from the get-go, it's so much easier than going backwards and changing things afterwards. So if you consider your supply chain from the start, if you consider your materials from the start, then you're cutting down your workload, because this is the way that all business will be. But if you can cut down your workload when you're setting it up or coming back to it later, it really does help a lot.
So circularity starts from design.
Absolutely, yeah, right from the beginning.
So then maybe as the last advice for our community, if you would like to give somebody that is an individual or a household, how could we become more circular?
So in terms of textiles, I would say if you can obviously keep the clothing in your wardrobe for as long as possible in circulation, whether that's for you, or you buy or sell or give your clothing away to make sure that it has another life after you. That's the biggest impact that you can make, is prolonging the life cycle of your clothing. Apart from that, I obviously not advising that you buy from any of the high street stores, but if you want to buy from sustainable brands, save up and buy from sustainable brands and invest in the right kind of clothing. That is the biggest impact, actually, after prolonging the life cycle of your clothing.
Thank you so much. I think we leave it like this. This is a good advice for everybody to follow, I think, in our daily lives, because it's about our daily decisions, whether they're big or small. We can definitely make an impact. And like you say, also vote with your wallet, or not using your wallet is maybe the best vote by not having to buy something new. Thank you so much, Jo from Rubymoon. I hope to speak to you soon, and thanks again for your time.
Thank you so much.